All right, we're going to talk about conditional statements today. So a conditional statement is an if-then statement. This is the symbology here. So this would say if P, then Q. Okay, so we read it if P, then Q. This is the first part of the statement. This is the second part. That's called a conditional. If it is raining, then it is cloudy. The hypothesis is the first part, the P part, following the if. So in this example here, it is raining. That's our hypothesis. Our conclusion is the part Q following the then. So in our example here, our conclusion is it is cloudy. So we're going to identify the hypothesis and the conclusion. So here's our statement. If an animal is a robin, then the animal is a bird. Okay? So our hypothesis, okay, is an animal is a robin. So here's our part after the if. An animal is a robin. That's our hypothesis. Our conclusion then is the part after the then. The animal is a bird. Okay? Writing a conditional. So here we have a sentence. Vertical angles share a vertex. Okay? How are we going to write that as a conditional? So we got to kind of break this up into two parts, the hypothesis and the conclusion. So what is the hypothesis of this? What is the first part we're looking at? What is the if? If it is what? If they are vertical angles. Okay, so vertical angles is our hypothesis. What happens to be the conclusion? Well, they share a vertex, right? Okay, so now I'm going to write the conditional. If two angles are vertical, then they share a vertex. So you might have to kind of add some words in to make it grammatically correct. But we want to kind of look at this. Usually the hypothesis is kind of like your subject matter, and then the conclusion is your verb and the rest of the sentence. Truth value. So a truth value of a conditional is either true or false. So it's kind of what is it actually? If a woman is Hungarian, then she is European. Well, is Hungary in Europe? Okay, yes, that's true. If a number is divisible by 3, then it is odd. Well, is there a number divisible by 3 that is not odd? Well, how about 6 or 12 or 24? Those are all even numbers, so this is not true. This has a truth value of false. Negation. So the negation of a statement, P, is the opposite of the statement. It's putting a not in there or a negation of some sort, okay? So this is red, not P. So you see this little tilde here? It's a little, that's red, not P. So the sky is blue. That's our statement. If I want the negation, we would write the sky is not blue, okay? So the converse. The converse exchange the hypotenuse and the conclusion. The hypothesis and the conclusion, sorry. So it's going to be Q, then P. So we're going to take our if P, then Q, and just flip them. We're going to swap them. So if Q, then P. So here's our original statement, right? If an animal is a robin, then it is a bird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this part and move it to the front. I'm going to take this part and move it to the back. So I'm still going to kind of rearrange the grammar so that it's a little bit better. So if it is a bird, then it is a robin. I probably should have said if an animal is a bird, then it is a robin. Okay, just to make it a little bit better. Kind of that it pronoun there. The inverse. So the inverse is the negation or the negate both the hypothesis and the conclusion of the conditional. Not P, then not Q. If not P, then not Q. Okay, so we're going to negate both parts of the statement. Okay, so here's our original statement. If an animal is a robin, then it is a bird. So we're going to put a not in both those parts. Okay, so if an animal is not a robin, then it is not a bird. Okay, we're not talking about truth value of this, we're just talking about this is the inverse. The contrapositive. The contrapositive is going to negate both the hypothesis and the conclusion of the converse. So we're going to take our original statement, we're going to interchange and negate. Okay? So if an animal is a robin, then it is a bird. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our hypothesis and our conclusion, we're going to interchange them and negate them. So if an animal is not a bird, then it is not a robin. Okay? So here's our next one. If the figure is a square, then the figure is a quadrilateral. There's our if-then conditional statement. So now we're going to look at the converse. So if you remember what the converse did, is it interchanged our hypothesis and our conclusion. So this is going to say if the figure is a quadrilateral, then the figure is a square. The inverse is the negation of these. So I'm going to put not. If the figure is not a square, then the figure is not a quadrilateral. And the contrapositive is, remember, I'm going to interchange and negate. So if the figure is not a quadrilateral, then the figure is not a square. How many lemons grow on a lemon tree? All of them. What did Leonardo da Vinci's cow paint? The Mona Lisa. All right, so that's the introduction to conditional statements, inverse, converse, and contrapositive.